We spent some time talking about how to taste beers, so I thought it'd be a great opportunity to run through the beer lineup that we have at Rock Bottom to just give a sense of some of the broad general flavors that we find in these styles. And we talked about these styles earlier, our light, our multi-balanced beer, our hoppy beers, and then the dark and the wheat beer that we're going to be serving, right? So we're going to start out here with our lightest beer, and this is the Kolsch that we serve in Rock Bottom, Westminster. It's a great beer, and if you recall, what we're going to do with this is we're going to spend a little time, we're going to take a look at the beer first. And so when I take a look at this beer, okay, it's plenty cold, it's kind of condensing up the glass, and so we see it's a pretty light-ish colored beer. I would call this straw colored, right? It's pretty carbonated. I love seeing these bubbles come up, so it's a very attractive beer like that. Very clear and bright, no haze to it whatsoever. I'm going to take a smell of it. I get a little bit of a grainy sweetness. I get a little bit of floral hop character to it that I can smell right there at the very end. But it's not oppressive. It's not an overbearing beer in terms of its aroma. When I take a taste of it, it's got a nice, slightly sweet, slightly grainy flavor. See, these flavors really mirror what I got in the aroma quite a bit. A nice little bitter hop finish at the end, very slight, just to balance out that sweetness. And I get that continued little hop floral character coming off the back end. So I really like this beer. The mouthfeel, it's on my palate and off my palate. Very crisp and clean, nothing's lingering. And this is obviously a great summertime patio, easy drinking after the softball game, knocking back a few beers, kind of a beverage. So the Rock Bottom Light, those are the general flavors you're going to get from that beer. And coincidentally, not too surprising, when we're making this beer, it's primarily the base malt, the pale malt, and just a small handful of colored malt like this to bring a very light color, very refreshing beer for our guests. The next beer we're going to taste is our malty/balanced beer, right? Not super light, not super hoppy, not super dark. Kind of, it's the just right beer, a bit like the middle bear's bed or the little bear's bed. If I take a look at this, we see a significant difference in color than we did in our light beer. Very nice red color, kind of a little bit amber moving to red. You can really kind of get pretty gritty on some of the colors here. And as brewers, we really do look at the color and the malt constituents that go in to make that color in the beer. So really nice. Again, very bright. I can see through the beer, so that means it's not cloudy or hazy, which is a hallmark of quality. Some beers can be hazy, and that's not a problem. And we'll certainly see that in the IPA when we come to that, but this beer is nice and bright. Give it a little bit of a swirl. Give a chance for those aromas to gather in there. And boy, this is a great aroma. This is not a super hoppy beer, so you kind of have to work to smell those hops. And I get a little bit of a floral, earthy orange character on the back end. I also smell something coming from the colored malts in there. And it kind of creates almost a bittersweet chocolate and orange aroma that I will also get in the flavor, I'm sure, on this beer. And compared to the lightest beer, that's kind of a flavor explosion. It's got great caramel moving into toffee character. I mentioned that kind of little bit of bittersweet chocolate and orange that comes through on my palate as well. This is the red. It's actually what's called an extra special bitter. And bitter is kind of a misleading term in beer, because in this case, it should be more extra special balanced beer, because the malt and the hops work so well together, and they're really about being in balance with each other. This would be great with the fish and chips or something like that, very traditional English beer. And the mouthfeel, again, not sweet, very well attenuated, very well fermented, not a lot of residual sugar in there to coat my palate, but I do have a little bit of a lingering, that bitter chocolatey note on the back of my tongue is kind of hanging around. I find that very pleasant. And within our group, you'll see beers that are a lot like this, have great malt character. The hops are going to go up and down in the background with our Irish style reds, our ambers, which we vary across the country to fit the folks who are coming in the door. And that's really what makes us different at Rock Bottom, is we're brewing for the people who are coming in to drink your beers.